Hi everyone, in this video we will present our course project LambdaDrive, a serverless cloud storage solution based on Amazon Web Service. AWS Simple Storage Service, also known as S3, is a scalable object storage solution. However, because S3 is an object storage, saved objects are immutable and basic file operations like renaming and moving are not supported. Workarounds involve creating a copy of the file and deleting the old one with extra costs, which might be expensive to operate in some cases. For instance, renaming folders with many large files. To provide a seamless WebDrive experience to users using S3 as their WebDrive, in our solution, LambdaDrive, we not only built a user-friendly interface for S3, but also created a file mapping service that allows users to organize files as if they're using a regular WebDrive with significantly less cost than making copies. The mapping service makes extensive use of Amazon free tier and limited always free products. It significantly reduces the cost of organizing files compared to workarounds. So first, I'll introduce the solutions with live demos. First is user registration. Upon opening the web page, we're greeted with this login form. At the moment, we don't have an account, so we'll need to register an account first. Here, we can click on register now. And here we can type in our login credential. Now let's click on get CAPTCHA to get the verification code. Then in a moment we should receive an email containing the code. Let's copy this number. And I'm gonna paste it here. So now we're ready to register a new account. Let's click on register. And now our account is successfully registered. The next feature is user login. Let's type in the credential for the account that we've just created and click login. Now we're successfully logged into the system. First, let's try to upload some files. So first we can click on this upload files button and we can choose some files to upload. So here we've selected a total of 10 files. Let's click on start upload. Now the files are uploaded successfully, and we can see they're in our root folder. We can right click on it and click download file. And there we go, the file is downloaded. To better organize our files, let's create a folder. We can click on this create folder button here and type in the name. And click on OK. Then after a while, a folder is created. Now let's move some documents into the folder. Now there we go, the files are moved into the documents folder. Now let's try to rename the file. So for example, I want to rename this test PDF file into another name. For example, mypdf.pdf. And let's click on confirm. And now the file is successfully renamed. Let's download it once again. Other than renaming files, we can also rename folders. So here, let's rename our folder to My Documents. And let's click on confirm. And there we have it. We can also check out our recent files by going to the recently added tab. Here we have the 20 recently added files. These are the files that we've just uploaded. Notice that the renamed file is also updated as well. Sometimes we might want to view our uploaded videos without downloading them. So here we can go to the player tab. So from here we have the 2 videos that we've just uploaded. So let's double click on one video and click on play. Now we have the video playing. Now let's try to delete a document. For example, I want to delete this plain.jpg file. I just select it, right click and click delete files. And now the file is removed to the recycle bin. And this file is no longer found in this recently added tab. So in the recycle bin, right click on it. We can choose to recover it from the recycle bin or delete it permanently. Now let's click on delete it permanently. Now the file is gone. Finally, let's exit the system by logging out of our current account. We click on log out and OK. And now we're logged out of the system. Now let's take a look at some of the implementation details. So first is AWS Amplify. Amplify is used to integrate AWS services into our application and provides web hosting services to the front end. Then we have Amazon Cognito. It's used for user authentication and authorization. Connecting to Cognito, we have this Amazon SNS. It is used to send verification codes to verify the user's email address during registration. Next is we have Amazon API Gateway. API Gateway, Lambda, and DynamoDB are used together to provide services like file management service, recycle service, and recent file service. Then we have Amazon S3. S3 provides the underlying file storage infrastructure. And CloudFront is a content delivery network, or CDN, to speed up users' access to their files in the Amazon S3 bucket. First, let's take a look at authentication. Our application uses Amazon Cognito to provide all the functionalities needed for user management, like sign up, sign in, and verification. With Amazon Cognito, we don't need to write code to manage our sessions and authentication tokens. The only thing required is to set up the configuration for Amazon Cognito. To access AWS resources, a user must be first authenticated from the user pool. Then the user pool will issue an access token to the user. Then the token issued by the user pool will be passed to the identity pool. The identity pool will issue an IAM temporary credentials to the user based on the predefined policies. Then the users can access AWS resources based on the privileges provided by IAM credentials. Next, let's talk about file mapping service. File mapping service handles mappings that will be used to convert file name in S3, which are unique UUIDs, into user-defined file name. This is possible with three AWS services: API Gateway, Lambda function, and DynamoDB. API Gateway exposes the endpoint to users, ensures the user is properly logged in, and proxies the requests to the target Lambda function. Lambda function handles the user requests, processes them, and stores the data in DynamoDB. Now let's take a closer look at our AWS Management Console. So this is Amazon S3, which contains all the files the users have uploaded, and we can see the access right to each folder here is private. So here we can click on a user and we can see these are all the files the user have uploaded, and the file names are all in UUID. So what the Lambda function does is that it converts this file name in UUID into actual file names that the user have specified. So these are the mappings. So for each mapping, it contains the username, the file ID, which is the file name in S3, and it contains the path it resides and the file name the user have specified. Now let's walk through an example. To upload a file, we first need to create a mapping. First, the client will invoke a Lambda function. The Lambda function creates a mapping in DynamoDB and returns a UUID for the mapping. Then the user directly uploads the file to the user's private S3 bucket, with the provided UUID being the file name. With this approach, we can easily move files around and rename files by simply updating the records in DynamoDB. Next, we will update the list of recently uploaded files. This service is also implemented using API Gateway, Lambda, and DynamoDB. Now let's take a closer look at the database for storing the list of recent files. So here we can see for each user, it contains a list of recently uploaded files it has for each user. So we can click on a user to see. Then for each entry, we have the time this file was created and the file ID the user uploaded. and a file ID which corresponds to a mapping in the user's file mapping service database and an actual file in the user's S3 folder. Because for each update we need to expire old items and insert new items into the database. So here the partition key is the username, and each user has exactly one entry. Another reason that we group all of them together into a list is because for every time user requests for a list of recent files, there's only one read request instead of multiple requests. Finally, we're going to perform an inner join to combine the list of private files from S3 and mappings from the mapping service to get the final user-friendly format, and these are finally displayed to the user. And that's it for our presentation. Thank you very much.